All right, how's it going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. Let's give people a couple minutes to get in here so that we could be able to have this conversation. So that way, whenever you hear people try to, like, like right now, we have an all points bulletin for this self-taught chemist after he done burned up his credibility all the way. Understand his so-called internet friends and homeboys trying to clean up after this dude, but you can't clean up what after happened on that actual live stream. What's going on, Sister Joy? What's going on, Shea Brother Allah? So before these people try to formulate behind the scenes and try to come back out with a new product that they want to put on the market, I think we ought to do a forensic search of this hideout while they're not at it. So everybody heard the live stream that has pretty much exposed most of the actual trauma bondosphere. You can no longer hide behind these PhDs. They're not working toward legislation in any state, especially not the state that they live in. They're always working on something behind the scenes that happen in other states, right? But they're not working for things that happen in their states. Hell, they're not even part of the political process to which they can actually do anything effectively within the states where they live at. Yeah, that's the benefit of living in a liberal state is everything works and it doesn't require your actual doesn't require you actually showing up to vote, but then you pretend like you have this ball in hand notion that you're actually holding something hostage when you already live in an already society that already provides things for you. It's going to break the cycle. So this no fault divorce thing has nothing to do with the manosphere at all. Most of these child support complainers don't even live in Texas, nor do they live in Louisiana, nor do they live in Maryland. As you can see, the actual trauma bondosphere covered when abortion was overturned by the Supreme Court, but they refused to cover when the actual same Supreme Court protected the rights and access to the abortion pill. Because both of these issues are intertwined. They could have got rid of the abortion issue all the way, but just gotten rid of access to the pill. It would be no longer an issue anywhere. Because the Supreme Court's job, they have a 6-3 majority. So it's not like a slim majority, a slight majority. They have a major majority. They could have ended the actual abortion conversation there. But if the point is to have conversations about things that are happening, but they're not responsible for, it flies in the face of that in order for them to actually cover those actual issues. Again, for as many child support complainers in this actual space itself, there's really no legislation going around about how to change that specific system. A couple weeks ago, there was a clip that was going on within this space that people were covering about a white guy who did 5 years in prison over child support. There was no rally by the dominant society to make sure that that guy never went over that again. There was no rally by the manosphere, not black or white, to bring this dude on and interview him about his actual issues and problems. There was no effort to do any of that because the effort was just have the conversation. But after what happened on that show, just having a conversation is now part of the problem. Just now having a conversation is a threat to actual progress by stopping and having a conversation once again. We already know what the answers of the questions are. There's no real need to have these conversations anymore. Another thing we can't have any conversations about is how much of a political conservative you are. There's no real need for these people to hide behind conservatism if they're not actually organizing within their party. They're not really putting forth any type of policies. While all this stuff can be easily done during the day, we waste our time on overnight live streams, trying to vulcanize the space around ignorant ass men who take no action in life. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what BGS was doing. Going around giving these individuals the ability to have some sort of popularity, some sort of need or want within their life for their actual services. When the only thing they wanted to do was just keep having the same conversation over and over without taking action. There's really no need for overnight live streams about that. There's no need for live streams about bringing women back to the table. That's a major thing. There's no live stream that are need about that anymore. The reason why there's no live streams about that anymore is because we already know the women are not coming to the table and they're not giving up any power. The disaster teacher himself already said that he knows that this stuff isn't going to work, but yet he was perpetuating this fraud upon socializing these individuals with things that were not their responsibility, and then subsequently allowing them to have fake solutions with these dating coaches and these relationship artists. So that way these individuals can take their ass back to those circumstances that they've never seen completed and use the ineffective information that has been ran on the same women over and over again. So that way they can be the new custody holders of the old problems that the previous generation had. There is no real need to have a conversation about bringing women back to the table. They took that issue off of the table. This is what happens when people take up arms against the entire group by weaponizing unsuccessful men in every other matter of their life. And they try to replace that unsuccessfulness with complaints about women and complaints toward women. Like they would feel more of a man if and only if this woman gave up her actual power and if she acted like women in other cultures who have no actual power at all. So there's no need for the intercultural, all that kind of stuff. You know what culture that you're buying into, you know what type of culture that you're investing in. It's time for you to go take some action. It's time for you to go die on that hill that you so want to go die on. The next conversation that there is no need for is people who are community minded. It's always broke ass individuals with nothing to offer anyone who want to clearly be a cheerleader for other people to come socialize those individuals into taking actions that they never would on their own account. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to socialize other individuals into being more quote unquote community minded than they are and to take actions that they never would to save people that they would never produce for. What's going on, LOM? What's going on, D1 Trades? There's really no need for this community talk. What you need is community action. It's really not hard to go formulate a 501c3. It's really not hard to go get all this money that are actually on the table if you actually want to help those boys. But these people wanted to use these boys as an actual flotation device. They wanted to use these boys' circumstances to propel themselves for greater popularity among other broken men. itself. And by doing this, they wanted to socialize the women into thinking that some dumbass sucker or fool is going to come take over their responsibilities of their household, which was never happening. These people was only wanting sexual access, not the responsibility of a household. There's no need to raise money for an actual fundraiser for documentaries by PhDs within this space, especially when you say that Green Gorilla actually said that. He was unprompted. He said it on his own. We're basically here to trauma bond online with people in the manosphere. He said that out of his mouth. He said something that was never supposed to be said out loud. He wasn't supposed to let the cat out of the bag like that. So now that calls into question, what the fuck is Tia Johnson doing here? If you're surrounded by BGS Itmore, you surround yourself with Green Gorilla who say he's here to trauma bond. You surround yourself with actual Ron Neal who also on some man shit. It goes to show you that weaponizing the insecurities of men and giving them fake and false representation rather than real answers is what the actual mission statement is of their version of the manosphere. Just like the difference between conscious rap and actual what it actually turned into. The people who wanted to make a difference were slowly moved to the side by people who wanted to keep up as much bullshit as possible. I had a person, I think it was Floyd Holt, who asked me that question of whether Tia Johnson was doing the wrong thing. Why am I starting shit with Tia Johnson? I'm like, nah, dude. What you're trying to do is you're trying to rationalize the time you wasted on something that I have been clearly correct about the entire time. Remember, I am a ex-member of law enforcement. I see shit way before you can see it. Way before you can see it. Why? Because I'm hypersensitive to it. I can sniff out bullshit in a second. But see, most of you people have grown up inside of these environments to where you have to put up with this type of nonsense in order to be a normal person within these circumstances. I don't have to do that. I've never had to do that. I had to do it for a time when when I did not have my stuff together. That's when I had to put up with the most BS from people. But the moment I started getting my stuff together and start honing my bullshit detector, I was able to sniff out the bullshit very easily. So it's very clear that these individuals came up into and around this space not to help these men out, but to feed these men back into the same problems that they know that wasn't going to work. Again, there's no need for the bastardization of the Moynihan report. I read the last paragraph of the Moynihan report. It didn't say nothing about anything that's happening in the manosphere right now. It didn't. You have never seen in the history of anywhere where everybody deliberately misunderstands the situational awareness on the ground, deliberately not participate in the democracy where they have a chance, deliberately decide to live in areas to which they have no difference overall, deliberately avoid the responsibility of a man by actually placing it on the women's hand to choose them better, even though they ain't got nothing to choose for. This is what this is about. None of these live streams are needed. Most of these people come online and they lie about their actual content when you can clearly look at their actual history of their content. People say they default is the truth when you can go to the community tab and you can see exactly what these people are on. Using hashtags out of context when don't nobody with those hashtags who are responsible for doing the content of those hashtags ever go around trying to weaponize the angst of the men against the women and try to build an actual platform based off of that. One of the most dangerous things a man or anyone around here can say is, I don't believe in throwing people away. When you hear that term, when you hear that phrase, that person is full of bullshit. Because in that case, if you cannot erect any standards and you're unwilling to throw anyone away, that means that there are no minimum standards and that the people's level of BS that they want to be on becomes the actual standard that everybody has to live by. Now it becomes prison culture all over again, right? It wasn't enough that these individuals was left in these communities with nobody to actually exploit. They come online to do all the things that they wish they could have got away with in the community itself. That's why I never gave a shit about people who sold drugs in the community, who come online and complain about the 94 crime bill and all that kind of goofy ass shit. I'm like, bro, listen, man, getting caught is illegal. It's getting caught is illegal everywhere. And actually, most times when you get caught, it is actually the person who you serve who actually give you up, those drug dealers, those drug takers inside of the community. Or it's actually the woman that you spend all this money once you get illicitly to do. There's only two people who actually snitches on all these people. It's not really possession charges all the time. It's never that. It's always the people from the inside who take down the house from the inside. The only thing you have to do is offer them a better deal. How many times I've sat across and on the other side of the window watching this woman give up this entire dude for a better Section 8 place in a better area of town where their kids can go to school. Whole operation blown to shit over his woman that he chose, he impregnated, he had kids by, is the one that's taking him down. What's taking him down is the fiend that he never had any respect for. Always treated like garbage, but this person always took the ill-gotten gains from what they stole and pawned and bought those actual drugs. These are the people who took those individuals down. Didn't take a big operation all the time, unless it was a dragnet to specifically take those people down. When you have this level beforehand, when you have this level of morals that you cannot survive within an operational society, it always has to be something that is damaged, that is destroyed, that is distraught. You are a living predator. And you have learned nothing from your so-called rehabilitation. The only thing that they've done is moved on to a new grift. They don't like the term grifter. They don't like the term SBE. They don't like it. The reason why they don't like it is they don't want to feel the humiliation and the shame of knowing that we know what you own. We know what you own. We know what you're trying to do. We know who you're trying to do it to, and we know who you're trying to affect. They don't want to take the responsibility of actually knowing that we actually know that already. Because to them, and you also need to be conscious of when you hear this type of bullshit too. If a person put illicit economics over group benefit, that person has a problem as well. Because there's a lot of people who walk around with this money rules over all type of bullshit. They want to sit here and grift, but then they turn around and complain about gentrification. It's nobody's fault in society that you cannot actually produce and that you need to consume in order to live. The only thing we actually did was transplanted cancer from one actual patient to another. But to them, they need to survive. They need to survive. That's why they want the conversation to keep going. They need to survive. They have the innate inability to not survive on their own. And these are the people who make up most of the manosphere, especially when it comes to the subscriber supremacy piece. It is clear and very easy to make progress here. It is very clear and it's very easy to make progress here. Get your stuff together. Don't partner up with the wrong type of woman. Move out of these circumstances and be more disciplined. Not hard. But it's the individuals here who clearly have to take up their own arms against their own people and lead you in a concentric loop of victimhood. They either talking like they have a fifth grade education to bring in other dumbass fucking men. No, 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 no. No, I had a phone call that came in. I hit the wrong button. That was on me. Sorry about that. That was on me. But this is currently where we're at. And the reason why we're here is because these people haven't decided to actually be on the productivity piece. Because they was too busy trying to consume, too busy trying to do something easy. They didn't realize that turn on a live stream from the comfort of your home dungeon or your corner that you're trying to make it look like it's a house bigger than what it is. That wasn't what this whole thing was about. There was a whole level of production that needed to be happening behind the scenes. There's a whole group of things that need to be happening somewhere else. But a lot of these people just wanted to do things that were easy because they're forever looking for things that are easy. They're not looking for things that are actually substance based because substance is the enemy. Substance means that you have to put in the work. The only thing they want to put in the work, they want to put in the work to consume. That's what these people are on. What happens when the pie is getting smaller and smaller of the people who you can do this to? What happens when there's several individuals that show up who are trying to do the same thing that you're doing? What happens when your subculture is dying? Your subculture is dying, sir. Your subculture is dying. That's the issue here. There are becoming less and less people who you can run this game on. Less and less people who are actually mesmerized by a dude's ability to lie like he get women. It's becoming less and less. You want to know why? Everybody is regurgitating the same information with no actual proof. Every time these things happen, the environment got smarter. Yes, after the pearly thing shit, the environment got smarter. The environment got smarter. They seen exactly what these people were on. The environment got smarter. A lot of these people prove that they'll do anything for clout chasing purposes. They will try to leverage other people's positions, like white supremacists and, well, fake white supremacists. I will call him white supremacist zero because there's no proof that he does anything outside of trolling. Like, you have people who would hide behind that as the actual reason for why they was here so long. There's really no reason to say that you've been in the manosphere for 8, 9 years if you're still talking about relationship BS nonsense. There's really no need for that anymore, right? You got a lot to prove as a PhD coming through here. Other than trauma bonding with people online, opening up wounds that don't need to be opened up. These people need medical professional care and help. They don't need to be sitting here with some armchair dude who actually majored in Africana studies. But Africana studies isn't medical science. And when all these individuals get behind the same grifter here, that's the problem. I wish Keeper 100 had told people that he knew BGS through a person in real life. That way nobody would have took the live stream seriously. Right? No one would took the live stream seriously if they known that he knew that BGS was an actual pro-black in his real life. I'm going to take him at his word. But what Keeper 100 doesn't understand that this dude has been in a space where he's claiming that he's everything but a pro-black. So in essence, if he's a pro-black, then he's anti-male choice. That's what pro-black means, male feminist. I'm cool with it because at the end of the day, it's their choice to be that. But their actual worldview can't work unless there's a restriction of the choice on the man's side, though. So why on earth would you call yourself a MGTOW or a MGTOW monk? Why would you call yourself a MGTOW monk? A MGTOW monk don't have a women's channel. All the MGTOW monks I know, they out here getting their money together. They're getting their finances in order. They're not trying to follow up every single time a black woman does something wrong in the media. That's not what MGTOW monks are doing. However, if your social media profile is kind of based on gaslighting these actual men into thinking that there's some action that's being taken because a black woman is actually making comments that you don't think that she should be making or actually getting herself involved in situations that you think she ain't supposed to, that's a whole thing by itself. Because remember, they have no inherent actual value. Something has to happen before these individuals can actually talk about anything. Something has to happen. Again, the only thing this woman's doing is exercising her freedom that these men have intentionally decided that they're not going to exercise because she can exercise her freedom without productivity. But a man needs his actual productivity so that way he can exercise his own freedom. So what they want to do is they want to circumvent the productivity piece and invest in this game nonsense so that way they don't have to put the work in. They can just talk their way into a situation that they're not qualified for. I have no idea about that. I don't know who his mentor is. I'm not even sure what a Gnostic is because I've never seen a Gnostic anywhere. So it's either you're a Gnostic, you're a MGTOW monk, you promote this Austin Holloman fucking clown who actually was trolling the fucking women, which is the reason why dudes were over there in the first place. But all this shit is centered around trolling the actual women and leverages men's inability to find happiness within this environment. How can you be all these things at the same time? I could tell you, you're none of these things at the same time. But a lot of these conversations don't need to be had. I forget what live stream that I was looking at, but I was looking at this individual playing a clip from one of these so-called founders, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is doing the same exact shit. He's just doing it in a different manner. He's still talking about the relationship piece, but he's doing it in a different way with graphics and all this shit and fake concern and all this kind of bullshit. This motherfucker don't even live in America, and he does this shit, right? So you have to look at it like this. Manosphere 2.0 was meant to get unmarketable men off the actual market. Not to make men better, but to save 3, 4, maybe even less than 10 people at the expense of everybody else's stagnation. That's what the actual business model of Manosphere 2.0 was. Is to keep representing the same problem to people with no solution. To give these people fake levels of representation so that way they will feel stuck where they are and nothing actually gets better. Again, nothing gets better. And now you got a whole bunch of individuals who don't know how things work, who have wasted years of their life ingesting this actual poisonous ass content, who only know how to recite things that are said here and don't know how anything works. I had to sit down and tell this individual, like, dude, you're not even informed. You have been radicalized. That's right. You've been radicalized. Oh, I'm not radicalized. I'm like, bullshit, you're not radicalized. Why don't you go look up the definition, go look up the steps, and tell me whether or not your ass has been radicalized. When you don't have any experience at all, and you want a shortcut to proclaim that you are experienced or have years of experience, the only one-way ticket from point A to point B is radicalization and regurgitating of talking points that you don't understand. Because these people want to be empowered by what they're listening to. They don't want to be informed. They want to be empowered by what they're listening to. That's a problem. So where do you go from here? When you literally in one live stream took away your entire business model, what do you do after that? You can't just go back to trying to lie about the Mouse Utopia experiment when the Mouse Utopia experiment and the actual population issues in South Korea has nothing to do with the Mouse Utopia experiment. Again, another pseudoscientific bullshit ass statement. I will explain to you what the Mouse Utopia experiment was. The Mouse Utopia experiment gave a group of mice everything that they ever wanted to have a paradise style community. They had the perfect breeding conditions, they had the perfect bedding conditions, they had the perfect housing conditions, they had the perfect feeding conditions. What the Mouse Utopia experiment actually did say is that even when given perfect conditions, once you remove, Remove all the predators from the actual environment and everything else. Once you remove all of the actual struggle and strife from these actual people, well, not people, they're mice, in an environment, the society still breaks down. No, 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 no. I'm talking about because he was trying to compare the Mouse Utopia experiment to lack of choices for men. He was trying to conflate the Mouse Utopia experiment, truth as I know it, with the actual lack of sexual options and choices for men. That's how he was trying to conflate the Mouse Utopia experiment with the population control actual issues. That's what I'm talking about specifically. But the population control issues in actual South Korea has nothing to do with what was going on with the actual Mouse Utopia experiment. Because in the Mouse Utopia experiment, everything was provided. Enough everything. In the South Korean situation, the women are walking away from the men like they walk away from the men everywhere else. But trying to conflate those two things where one actual society, everything wasn't given, like women still have to work and all that kind of other stuff. In the Mouse Utopia experiment, the mice didn't have to work; everything was provided. That's the. I mean, the outcomes are very similar, but you have to be able to set the conversation up as if that's the case. And this is where you get the notion that people think that the need to have sex with somebody within the environment is an actual worthwhile thing, or they would die. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. On the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the procreation piece has been replaced with recreational sex or sports fucking. Because now most of these lost men online have turned their actual need to have access to the opposite sex when they don't want to produce for them. They've turned it into an actual need, an actual priority of theirs. Not getting their stuff together. No, 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 not that. To be able to take care of a family. No. The problem is they want to be rewarded with the solution before they actually done the work. Yep. But that's what happened when you actually have lived in South Korea and actually know what's going on there. Because I did do a short tour over there when I was in the Air Force. And I still know people who are over there today who actually went over there after the military experience was over. It's called spiritual life. So now there's no real need for all these conversations to be happening, especially the child support complaint crew. Because the child support complaint crew are not actually using their money to go out to get an attorney to get actual custody of their kids. They use the time that they could be spending on skilling up to come online and actually spread the actual apathy of their situation to everyone else here. It's called Johnny Blaze. There you go. They want a woman, because that was my next point. You know where I was going with it. They want a traditional woman to remain and have her traditionality, while these dudes sit around and do just pretty much whatever the hell they want to do. Like they don't want to go out here and produce. They don't want to go out here and do that. But a woman is supposed to come to the actual table with her hijab on, and she's out there. She got like a whole Chinese buffet full of food that she done prepared for this dude while he sits up like Captain Morgan with his feet up on the ottoman and shit. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, man. Just take two to your sons and call them in the morning, man. No, just take two live streams to the face and call them in the morning. Oh yeah. At this point, you are correct. And there's a lot of trauma that went on between both groups of these people that you got to be able to reconcile. Because everybody want to come to the table without denying the actual potential pain of the other, and that's the actual problem here. Another live stream that you can't hear anymore, especially with Tim Scott coming into the actual presidential race in the election, and no one in this space who claims to be conservative ever covers anything that happens from the actual Republicans who actually control the House. They're not controlling. They're not having any kind of conversation about the debt ceiling or anything else. You can no longer have a conversation about how conservative you are at this point. That's what it is. You just said it. They want to make choices and then they don't want to take any responsibility for their choices. So they want the same government that they don't want any intrusive in their personal life. They want the same government to turn around and not hold them responsible for anything that they actually do in life when messing with these liberal women. Look, I don't blame black conservatives for not actually covering the Tim Scott announcement. I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. However, that's the side that you choose to be on. Trust me. But that's where we are at though. So you have a bunch of failed men who are not leaders in anywhere in their life. They want to come to this space and they want to lead other men where? Where do you want to lead these men? Where? Well, I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link. But that's clearly where we're at. And maybe I'm short-sighted on what I'm talking about these arguments. Are there any more arguments that we shouldn't be having at this point within the black manosphere? Am I missing something? Because we no longer need to have conversations about the 94 crime bill and people who sold drugs in the community and subsequently didn't like the time that they actually served for the shit that they did wrong. You had the same individuals talking about if you don't have any drama or trauma to spread within the actual space that you don't need to be here. You had that shit going on. They just don't want to be surrounded by better men. And whenever they see better men, better than them, better than their circumstances, go anywhere else and try to separate from these individuals, they walk into that movement and they effing destroy it every single time. It doesn't matter whether it's the church, it doesn't matter whether it's the military, it doesn't matter whether it's the manosphere, it doesn't matter whether it's passport bros. You have the same level of problems. Why? Because there's something wrong with the clientele. And when there's no punishment for actually coming in and actually destroying an actual movement that you didn't build for the sake of personal financial gain or popularity or both, we're going to keep running into the same problems over and over again. But all of these conversations are conversations that no longer need to be had in the manosphere. Because it's a stalling tactic. It's a stalling tactic. These people want to do everything else in the world but personally get their own stuff together. Yes, they do. It's from the same game dudes and traveling tricks and players that are already here within the United States. Rather than going to clubs, they're jumping on planes and they're taking their ass over to other countries, spreading this bullshit to another environment. They're not over there on business. I can tell you that. They're not over there for that shit. Which is not a problem. They're free to do whatever the fuck they want to do, but they just need to not call themselves passport bros while they're fucking doing it. Again, they always have to leverage somebody else's movement and destroy it. Of course they won't discuss that. Of course they won't discuss that. Why? They don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it is or what the impact is. Because the problem is that they only want to live with the actual results of the actual actions, not participate in the process itself. That's what these people have been on. They want to spread their political apathy to other people to make sure people don't participate. They want to make sure that personnel live in areas to which they have no voice. And then they want to complain about everything that happens and refuse to participate in the actual system itself. Then they think that this actual system that already doesn't support them at all is going to provide them everything that they actually need so that way they can participate at the bare minimum. What they're actually doing, Bunker, is they actually negotiating. Like, okay, I'm gonna play Keisha this time. Keisha, how come you gave that ass all the way to that Pookie? Huh? I'm broke too. Give me some ass. Oh, okay. You play the Keisha, I play the Pookie. That's all it is, man. All it is just cosplay complaining, circular complaining without the women even there. This is like having a conversation with your neighbor about why you should get an interest rate decrease or an increased credit line from your credit card company. Well, actually, Grinch didn't attack me. I don't think he can attack me. I think he, I think he can talk about things that he talk about, but when it comes to the progress piece, that's what I'm on. You know, I ain't got time for the drama of trolling and all that kind of hoe shit, man. Like I ain't got time for that. You got time for it apparently, Mister Fake Edward Anderson account. Yeah, but that's what that is, man. Like, I ain't got time for that, dude. You know goddamn well that I don't do live streams like that. I do live streams about substance, man. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm not gonna give y'all what y'all want. There's no need for me to even try to address those actual issues and topics because whenever you cannot add to the actual substance-based piece, you have to go off into the trolling and the fucking roasting shit, man. Dude, I ain't got time for that, nigga. I'm a grown ass dude. I can overlook bullshit like that. But shout out to him. I'm pretty sure it was funny. Like it was funny when O'Shea was doing it. I did watch those live streams, and some of that shit was funny. But at the end of the day, we got a real job to do here. So at the end of the day, like these people are going to keep twisting that knife into your soul about these failed relationship topics. They're going to keep twisting that knife into your soul about a random woman doing whatever the fuck she can do with her actual freedom while you don't do shit with your own freedom. They're going to continue to keep twisting that fucking knife. You want to know why they keep twisting that knife? They ain't got nothing else to twist. That's the only leverage that they got. It's your unhappiness, your innate unhappiness, and your inability to move to other actual women by having your productivity piece straight. That's what this whole space is based on. Leveraging failed men. If they're not leveraging another woman's comment and trying to actually broadcast that across the entire group, like that's they're actually trying to do other things, like the bus driver situation with that lady. I'm sorry, I've seen some pictures of that lady, and she's not bad looking. She got all the choice in the world. But the fact that she don't want to date some broke ass fucking dude, a lot of these dudes got in their feelings about that shit. But at the end of the day, dude, if you got your productivity piece up, you ain't got to worry about choice. You see, people who have no choice have to worry about the choices of others. Every time a woman don't choose them, they have to fall to pieces over it. You want to know why? They ain't got their shit together. They ain't got their shit together to the point to where there are not going to be any choices and options for them. But folks, that's currently where we are within this space. They want to do everything but take action. Actions are very easy, by the way. Actions are so easy and they're so simple, it doesn't require all night live streams to take some action. All right. Somebody asked me to do this. And I'm going to tell you how easy and how simple this is to take action. Okay. Now, I hate to give this type of advice, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Because when I give you this type of advice, you're going to understand that your life is going to get infinitely easier once you take this advice. What's going on, Airbird? Let's say that you don't want to participate in the political process. I don't know why you don't want to have your own voice be heard on these actual issues, because you're going to pay the consequences of not actually organizing anyway. But let's say that you don't want to participate in society. I suggest you move to a highly liberal fucking area where everything works. The reason why I want you to move to a highly liberal area where everything works, first of all, you got to have your productivity piece up to actually live in these actual liberal fucking areas. Okay? It isn't like the middle of nowhere where there are no services and there's nothing, and the taxes are like fucking $15 a year for the land that you own and all that kind of goofy ass shit. No. Live in a liberal area. Live in a Dallas, a Austin, a San Antonio, a Denver, an Aurora, right? Live in Topeka, Wichita, Kansas City, on the Missouri side, by the way, not the Kansas side. I mean, if you're in Kansas, live in areas like Olathe, Edgerton, kind of like that little area. There's a lot of manufacturing jobs over there. Look, live around a place where there's actual public transportation. They give a shit about public transportation. Having public transportation so that way you ain't got to own a car. Again, I'm telling you how to live in an actual society where you don't need to fucking invest in. Okay, that's where you live in. Two, you got to have means of actually going to work. So that way you're not trying to live off some woman. The third thing you need to do is don't bother what's going on with politics. Because if you don't know what the fuck's going on with politics, your ass is going to end up complaining about gay people and fucking abortion when none of those things are on the ballot nowhere in the fucking country. Period. That's why they're called wedge issues. Because rather than taking up ground and actually fighting for a realistic issue, you have decided to just go to the least common denominator based issue based on the appropriate amount of ignorance and cover those things. If you want to ease your life where you don't have to pay attention to any of that shit, just move to the area that has jobs in the liberal fucking area. Get yourself a fucking used car or a motherfucking bus pass, and that's it. And don't bother trying to get anybody pregnant or trying to move anybody inside your house. Problem fucking solved. You're productive, you're paying your taxes already, and you ain't got shit else to worry about. And you can spend all your time on what you want to do. You ain't got to spend time trying to act like you're politically invested when you don't know what the hell's going on. Very easy, not hard. It's a very concise plan so that way you can stop wasting time being gaslit over fake ass issues. The only thing you have to do is move where shit works. Because complaining about shit where shit don't work don't help it work. Trust me, I could have stayed in Mississippi and there could have been a lot of legitimate complaints about things that didn't work. But if there was no place where I can actually go to work, then it defeats the entire purpose. Again, you're not owed right to sexual access to nobody within this environment. Because here's the secret. The only people complaining are the people who are losing. Those are people who are complaining about the actual relationship conversation. For the women who couldn't manage infinite dick, that's what they're complaining about. They want even more choices and options than the options that they already had. For the men, it's the men who have inexperience but actually want access to the women that are actually complaining. If you just stayed away from these two groups of unhappy people, this relationship industry bullshit is solved. And if you don't want to live in the borough, shit, move up north. Those people still like that liberal shit up there too. Don't get me wrong. Yes, shit up there still works. Rochester shit still works. I love going out there in the summer. I love it. Love going out there. Ithaca and all that shit. All the Watkins Glen, all that shit. Those people live way out in the middle of nowhere with all this liberal shit that still works. And they got the productivity piece to actually be able to stay out there. But that's currently where we are. Like a lot of these conversations in the manosphere happens is because people are not taking action. So they tune into these manosphere-based conversations to have the excuse of continue not taking any action. There's no reason not to take action. It's either you're going to take actions with your finances, you're going to take actions with your presence, you're going to take actions with your vote, or you're going to take no actions at all. You're just going to take actions with your mouth. Hell yeah, there's a lot of places in Pennsylvania I like. A lot of places in Pennsylvania I like. Yeah, dude, America is literally set up for you to disappear onto your own land with your own productivity, peace, and win. The place is set up for that. The place is not set up for endless fucking complaining and not taking any action. The place is not set up for that. Now the South is set up for that, but hardly anywhere else is actually set up for that. They don't. They've been given answers to a problem that they're not even trying to engage in. But they want to push it all on her as the reason why they can't take any individual action by themselves. That's the actual real problem. Because there's no way that you waiting on a woman and you ain't got your own stuff together, man. Like that don't make any sense. That clearly doesn't make any sense to me. Well, you go ahead and do that, man. You go ahead and do that. Hey, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. You go do that. It only proves that you can't have conversations about real issues, so you have to take it to that actual level. I don't really give a fuck about you doing that. I'm not a public person. So keep this in mind before you go do some stupid shit like that. Every single person that helps you and assists you in doing that will go down for doing that. All right? I'm not scared and afraid. I will put motherfuckers in jail. All right? I'm not even worried about that shit. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm not worried about it at all because you have to go seek out this information from other people. So now you're going to put those people at risk too. So let me tell you how that works, right? Because people go through the same deliberate means of doxing people. You have to understand that when you start fucking around with these government databases and these private databases that are connected to government databases, every time you do that shit is illegal. Every time. No, it's not the real error. But but you know these fake people come around, and I don't think Edward would do no shit like that anyway. But I'm just giving people an explainer, so you can't say that it wasn't explained to you how these things actually work. You're actually responsible for that shit. You put that shit out. You're actually responsible for that shit. No. I know it's a fake account. I know that. Yeah, I know that. But that's the issue, and that's why these alternate methods of having conversations happen. It's because you can't argue from a factual basis. So now you have to move it to a level of bullshit, and that's the shit that y'all be on. All right, man. All right, man. Y'all just be on that. But back to the conversation. At the end of the day, none of these conversations need to be had. Because if you was taking action, like real tangible actions to fix your shit, it doesn't even take that long to fix your situation now. You could just go take action. Right now, you could just go take action. Yeah, there was a time where I didn't have my shit together either. First got out of the military, only actual career field choice was law enforcement. Yes, I had to work my way out of that shit. I had to work my way out of that shit. I had to do that. I had to do that shit. Yes. Me and my Montgomery GI Bill, along with these grants and shit, I had to work 2 jobs and go to school 4 years before I got my shit straight and together. And meanwhile, during that time, I did not feel that in between time, in between legs of actual liberal women. I didn't do that. I could have easily have done that. I seen all my friends doing that shit, and none of those dudes had good outcomes. Because the outcomes matter. The action to outcome matter. All you have to do is take action to outcome. That's all you have to do. Now he gave us the chance to actually participate in the political process, and a lot of these dudes didn't want to participate. That's the truth. You see it right now. A lot of these people did not want to participate in the political process. A lot of these people did not want to do that. A lot of these people wanted the power to complain, but they did not want the right to take action. They didn't want the responsibility of taking action. But it's not the women who don't want strong male leadership. It's the men who don't want it. It's the criminal class that don't want it. It's the uppercut. It's the unproductive class of men who don't want it. It's all that shit who don't want it. That's all. But that's their fault. That's their fault all on their own, man. Bro, it's too easy to move to the finish line nowadays. It's too easy. Because the people who are complaining about useless shit, they only just got those recent complaints. They don't have any experience with what they're actually complaining about. They have no experience with this woman, but they're complaining about it. They have no experience with the relationship conversation, but they're complaining about it. They have no experience with the child support system, but they're complaining about it. Tune into it. They have no experience with most of these things that they're actually talking about. No experience at all. But that's the problem. We had an over procreation of men that society didn't need. It wasn't just a black community where this happened, it happened all over society. You can go to the Asian community and you can see the same thing. You can go to the Latin community and you can see the same thing. And you can definitely go to rural America and you can see the same thing. Same exact thing. Trust me. If you want to lose, all the actual elements are there fit for you to lose already. The only thing you have to do is just not take any action with your own time. Not even that hard. So I'm gonna drop the link. See what's going on here. See who comes up. Yeah, man. Like, bro, what you do is they took all the pieces off of their own board. That's what I didn't get. Why would you take all the pieces off of your own table if your actual idea is to not provide any value? Why would you take all the pieces off of your own table? Why would you do that? Why would you have a conversation that you cannot recover from? Why would you call yourself a trained chemist in 2023? A self taught trained chemist? Why? The only thing you had to do was live in liberal ass California and not do shit. Everything's already solved for you in California. You live in a liberal state. Tons of taxes being paid, tons of services for everybody. That's the problem. Yeah, what's going on, man? I don't think I've seen you here before. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, bro? Yeah, this is actually the first time that I join your panel.
Yeah, what's going on, man? So, what age range are you? What are you? Millennial,
I'm
Zoomer?
28, man.
Where you at? Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, I'm
I got a question for you.
I'm basically millennial.
You- You're what?
No, I was just saying that I'm basically millennial, but the way that I was raised, you would say it was more old school way. I wasn't even born in this country. But yeah, go ahead, bro.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, okay, all right, all right, all right. So where you from?
Okay, so I was born in Cuba, raised there.
Okay.
Then I migrated to Portugal, and I stayed there for like 10 years in Portugal, in Europe. Then I went, I came back here to America like 8 to 10 years ago. So
Oh, okay, that's
yeah,
what's up.
bro.
Yeah, man. So you had to been doing a lot of shit to be moving all those places, man. That's not an easy. It's not as easy as people think it is.
No, it's not, bro. It's not, and it's crazy how you see different cultures, different people, the different ways that they move, they talk to you, the way they see everything in life is just so different, man. And when you travel that much, it's not that you become like wiser, but you have like a lot of different information that other countries or other people don't just have. It's kind of like an experience kind of thing.
It it is, and it's like every time you travel to a different place, it changes you in like minute ways. Like I don't travel as much now as I used to when I was in my 30s and like late 20s after I got my shit together. But I get what you're talking about because it's like when I was doing the whole like Central American thing. So many things, like dude, I didn't know like there are so many places where quote unquote the descendants of slaves were. Like I was shocked that people were all in those areas. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about any of that stuff. I was never taught any of that stuff in school. It was never brought up. I just thought the boat just stopped here and that was it. And it's like it renewed my level of wanting to learn more about things once I started traveling to these other places.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of things that they don't just teach you in school. They don't teach you those things in school. You have to get outside of that box, that school mentality, and do your own research and kind of like experience things in different ways, so you can actually uncover a lot of untold truths and stuff like that. And let's be honest, most people they don't want to do that because it takes and at the same time I understand them because they have to work, they have to maintain a family, they have to get better in life, and there are all the things that they kind of lack. But I guess that's the grind, That's the price that we all have to pay when we live in different countries and different drawbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, but most of these people want to have this ADOS based level conversation to actually remove productive individuals from the actual conversation. It was
Hmm.
supposed to have been a conversation that was clearly about working towards getting the actual reparations thing, but then it came into a kind of its own one drop rule bullshit where we want to remove people from the actual conversation who are participating in society and, and getting things that people quote unquote think is theirs or think it's supposed to be exclusively theirs, when it's just basically a participatory piece. Like you didn't get out of Cuba without participating in the society somehow. It's not really easy to get the fuck out of Cuba. I know it
Yo,
is.
bro, that thing is fucked. Bro. That thing
Yeah, I
is
know
fucked.
it is. Trust me, I know it is.
That fucking thing is
You,
fucked. Where you from, bro? Like you American, right? Like 100% American,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, all my
bro.
people
Yeah,
here,
like.
Mississippi, man. Like, I don't even call myself African American, man. Like, I don't fall for that shit. No, bro.
Hmm.
Like all my people from here, they died here. Most people in my family, we actually served in the military. All that shit. While having said that, I don't try to de-American Amerify nobody because
Hmm.
productive men can actually work together, and unproductive
Of
men
course.
should be the one who should be actually pushed to the actual side here.
Of course, bro. Of course. I think like this is the thing, man. And this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, and there's no many people that are talking about this. That do you know how like scare like you we can call it elite. You can call it I don't even know what the fuck to call it, but I would say people that most of them control this structure, right? Let's just call it that for the sake of the argument. Do you know how like they don't want people to like I wouldn't say unite, but to share value information and kind of like a step forward in a common ground to see how everybody can build or having their own thing. You know, they don't want that. They want to just control and keep people divided. You know, and
Correct, correct, correct.
that's that. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, it's called like, well, it's not the term, but what you're talking about is controlled codependency.
Mm,
Like they want to be the go-to person to go through all this type of shit. They want to be the go-to person. They don't want to give up the actual information. It's like
mm,
that's what this fake master teacher shit was about. What people didn't know that he was a pro-black, and this actual issue is to get people back onto the plantation. You had to sit here and watch this dude for years be on this grifting and this fraud bullshit, and continue to bring people to the space to hide behind. He brought PhDs to the space to fucking hide behind, not to give answers or solutions to shit. He brought them here to hide behind them,
mm.
hide behind their actual credentials that they're not even using to fix anything because he doesn't have any credentials himself. So you have to realize that most of these individuals here, the ones who call themselves leaders, they haven't led shit. They have to
Yeah,
keep these things messed up. And here's the thing: from the environment that you come from, it's even three times worse. From the environment that I come from, it's three
bro.
times worse.
There is. I will level up with you in like in Cuba. Like if I'm gonna be real. Like, bro, in Cuba, if you don't, this is gonna be unpopular thing. If you don't steal in Cuba, you die. Okay, so it's bad, bro. It's bad. I could be here talking like an hour, 2 hours, or even forever
Oh yeah,
about the
I know.
problems there, but it's bad, bro. Bro, the government can pretty much just if you say something that they don't like, bro, they will make you disappear and they will tell like your mom or your family or whatever that oh something happened to him or whatever or he fell or bro it's fucked, man. Like at least here we can kind of have like a opportunity to defend ourselves, well, in quotes,
Correct,
because when we have guns,
correct.
they have like missiles and everything, but at least we have some sort of defensive mechanism in a way and opportunities. But man, I don't even know where to begin, my man, because like there's so many
No,
problems here.
I mean, no, it's the same. It's the same. Like most third world environments, because I'm from Mississippi, it is definitely a third world environment
Mm,
where it doesn't take a lot to have resource supremacy, and resource supremacy is based on skills. But what happens when
mm,
you don't have the cars or the transportation to get to Delta Community College or all other places that are outside the actual city to get the skills to actually survive within the environment. So
Hmm.
you living in an environment that kind of entraps you there, especially if you have generations of individuals who also never left. You become like a hostage within your own situation. And like, okay, so let me give you like another, like, okay, imagine you're like in a Mexico type of cartel situation. Same thing. Highly competitive to get in those schools. Can't really go out and get the actual skills and abilities to survive. Well, not as quickly as you can in the United States and Mexico, because you know I go to Veracruz a lot, and it's like, damn, not having your shit together on top of living in a third world environment, bro. Listen,
Yeah,
man, that
bro.
could keep you behind in all kinds of ways. It doesn't even matter how good you are. Being in those circumstances will turn you actually bad or evil just for survival's sake in those actual territories. So trust me, I know a lot about that shit. I don't talk about it, but you know, I do know a lot about those circumstances.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of info there. You might not sharing, but yeah, you sound that you know, bro.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day is that it's too easy to make progress right now, and it's like a lot of people are so comfortable at the bottom and they don't want to see the society actual progress itself, that's how you keep running into these actual circumstances
Hmm.
where people don't want to actually do things to actually succeed.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, bro. Like I gotta be 100% honest, because I don't give a fuck, to be honest with you. When I was younger, like I was also thinking like that. Let's be real. When you, for example, 14, 13, around that, like that age, that especially when you don't have like a strong family structure thing, because my family was all over the place. Coming from Cuba, and then yeah, we were jumping all over the place. So like, but you have to grow out of it. You have to grow up. You have to learn. You have to get a mentor. You can't just stay in one spot, because if you stay in one spot, you're not gonna level up. You're not gonna evolve, bro. You're just gonna stay there, and you're gonna repeat the same mistakes all over and over and over again.
Yeah, man. Like every time I go home, man, it like it takes a lot out of me sometimes going back home and looking at those actual circumstances, man. Sometimes, man, I have to be in the hotel for like 2 3 days to recover from the initial day of just driving around the city and talking to like the people who I was raised around and looking at their actual circumstances. Sometimes, man, it takes a lot out of me, man. And then like, once I, kind of reorient myself mentally just to go back out there and still give answers and solutions, not to them because they didn't gave up, but their kids, so that way they can quickly connect to the productivity piece and just get out of there and get around better people, and just leave those people down there. Like if you gave up, you can't just give up and like have everybody else sitting there suffering the same consequences that you do. And that's why I like going back down there, because you can go back down there 2 3 years
All
later,
that.
see the minimum effort that people actually put in their life and see how they actually took the stuff to heart. They actually moved out, they moved up, they got themselves a skill, they actually separated from the actual circumstances. While the same people my age are still down there complaining about the same shit that it was in the late 90s and think that you betrayed them because you left and you got your shit together. Crazy. What's going on, Spawn?
Yo, what's going on, man? How you been?
I've been all right, man.
That was up. Yeah, I just find it kind of bizarre. That whole live stream was just crazy, man. Like I think one of the most telling things is like you were saying. I think you said in like one of your past videos, you were talking about like how he would take some things that like are actually going on political in other states and trying to quantify like the manosphere did that when it this space had nothing to do with those things that actually happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Ramil was talking about this one dude who went to the Supreme Court. He was talking about like the dude who changed the law to actually get like a paternity to see if like if that shit actually kid
Fraternity
or
fraud.
not. But yeah. Yeah, but it's just crazy how he'll try to actually claim that as like this space actually did that when that's not what's going on here, you know?
No, bro, like you got to pay money to keep pushing that stuff up to actually higher court areas. Like that's what people don't understand about the organizing and the money piece. Like that shit wasn't free to move those cases up to the Supreme Court. That shit actually costs money to move a case up to the Supreme Court. It isn't free like you think it is. It isn't like traffic court or some shit like that. Like, nah, man. Like you got to write briefs, you got to have people cite laws. The shit takes a lot of investment, but the people don't want to do the investment piece. They just want to walk in there, get the stuff done, one and done. And that's just not how things work. And they protect themselves from knowing how things work by not actually talking about the actual system the way it's meant to be done. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. This shit just been going on for like for too long, man. And like you said, like everybody just getting really hip to it. I mean, we've been saying this for the longest now, but it just got to the point where like every like body is like just smart enough to actually see it now, you know?
All right. Let me answer this about this tether thing. Because I've always heard it. I've never really cared about it. But let me answer this question about this tether thing. The only reason why these so-called quote-unquote tethers have any power is because the people who are already here ain't really doing what the fuck they need to be doing to lock these people out the system. That's why they have power just being basically productive and talking a whole bunch of cold cat shit. Yes, I met these people. I meet them all the time. You just have your shit together so that way the shit that they talk just don't really affect you. These actual systems that are set up, they're set up for people who to actually participate in them once they meet a certain level of criteria. So these quote unquote tethers wouldn't have any power if you pretty much just stormed the actual board and participated in the actual process and used up the actual money meant for the actual subsegment that was actually funded for, you wouldn't have to worry about tethers and all that shit. Yes. And I do agree with sole provider. It's a shaming tactic for non American born people to actually excise them from the conversation because most people who are around these discussions they are more productive than most people who are born here on average. Let's keep it real with that. But at the end of the day, there's no reason to like excise some people from the conversation. But then again, there's no reason to listen to people who just fucking got here talking a whole bunch of cold ass shit. I'm not gonna allow any of those things to happen. At the end of the day, we still got things that we need to work for. There's more things that we can work toward participate rather than
So, what is your definition of a tether? Tether? Because you know some people have their own different definitions. So, like, is it somebody who come to this country, have a kid, so that can actually stay here? From my understanding, right?
pretty. No, what they're saying is like fake immigrants who come here. All right, so let me give an example. Somebody who come here, they participate in this person of color grants or educational benefits and all that kind of stuff. They get their stuff moderately together and then they just start shitting on people who are actually born here, calling them lazy and all that kind of stupid shit. That's what they
Mm.
mean by tether. Like
Okay,
talking
okay.
to talking a whole bunch of like ahistorical shit about circumstances when they just got here. They people didn't have to go through generations of anything. The actual people who did go through generations of things are not participating in the things that this person actually participated in. So I think I'm getting it right. Is somebody who faking like they're one of us, but they didn't actually go through the historical struggle. They actually don't need to. I mean, because if your parents explain shit to you correctly, you would be full of the fire of fucking participation, not just sitting around trolling and doxing and stupid shit like that. You would just have your time set up for actually participating in society and choosing the right woman that's going to be able to move your actual vision forward that you actually choose, not actually pigeonholing yourself into a situation, getting with any type of woman and just accepting the consequences, then fucking complaining about it.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I think Edward said that he actually have to do this because people are like misinformed like about the women and all this other shit, and it's kind of like I mean,
No,
my parents, like, they came from Jamaica, so they don't really actually know what's actually going on here. So I mean, we don't really, they never really even talked to me about like far like relationships. So I mean, bro, you can just if you're a person who actually just go outside, bro, like bro, you can pretty much figure all this shit out at some point,
yeah,
man. You
man.
know what
Like
I'm saying?
you don't need a chorus army to fucking help you figure out what most of these women are on. Like my grandfather was like, look, don't mess with that. Yeah, that look good, doesn't it? That woman will fuck your life up. Period. She fucked up every single man that she's ever fucking fucked with. You see that? See that another kid? You see how them kids look? That's because she was with different men. Don't be with women like that, regardless of how they look. Really? Really? That was the end of the conversation. There was no, and that was just a conversation. Then you had like multiple people in the family fucking up and shit, trying to bring all these women around. Like, nope, you got to go, you got to go. You got kids. What are you doing with another girlfriend? Don't tell me you're trying to fuck this woman life up. Do you know he got kids? You know he got kids by two different people? Oh no, I didn't know that. All right, cool. You get the fuck off my property and y'all gonna handle that shit somewhere else. Because my grandfather was like, look, trying to bring this shit around him was trying to okay him with the actual bullshit that they were going through. But if he just refused it outright in total, there was no real reason to even have these people around because they were raised in better circumstances. They just chose to do something else with it. So I assumed that everybody else had this home training until I fucking left. Then I realized nobody really had this shit. And even if they did have it or didn't have it, they can still have enough common sense to figure this shit out on their own if they actually wanted to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and I think that live stream yesterday. What was that dude name that was on AM1 stream that came in a little bit later?
Yeah, he was keeping it 100. He's the one who actually did the live stream that had people really exposing their actual ways of being here. Yeah, man, just I call it keep, and then it, and then it's Hunned HUNNED, and his actual video come up. I don't think he did a live stream since then, but it's the SVE actual video. It's actually
Hmm.
linked in my previous video. So since we are talking about that, I will promote his actual channel, at least for that live stream. That live stream was the best live stream I have ever heard in fucking YouTube. Period. There's so much shit that went down that fucking stream. I can't thank that dude enough for putting it on. Now, the show that he put on AM1 yesterday is totally in contradiction, but a contradiction versus what happened. But he needed to save face because he still fucked with these people like that. So
Yeah,
I got that too.
yeah, kind of like what you were saying. Was kind of like we don't really have it here to where like okay, I think that what AM1 we're trying to say, like, okay, like I know you cool with him, but like let's say if he continue to do this, he'll just continue to like drift on like his talking points and like I guess he feel like his talking points would like evolve at some point, but not really
No,
change in the sense.
that's not going to be the case because he talked them out of all of his talking points on that show. Everything he was hiding behind, he had to answer questions for in front of people. That has never happened before. It just happened. Roosevelt, thanks for the 4.99 super chat. Hello, MOT. What's going on, man? All right, so that's what I mean by it's no reason to have these conversations. There's no reason to have conversations about bringing women back to the table, how much you give a fuck about black boys, leveraging everybody else's political strides within their own environment and trying to say that the manosphere is responsible for it. Like the manosphere ain't but like maybe 30, 40,000 people tops between all these channels. Maybe that many people. So you can't say a subsegment of people who listen to specific types of live streams are responsible for actions being taken in people's legislatures across the country. That shit is patently preposterous. Like there ain't no way that that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's live stream was terrible, man. Like COVID didn't change anything, man. You would think it
Oh,
would, but
God.
no, it actually made
That's another
it
thing that he
got
said,
actually
man,
got
that COVID
worse.
brought women back to the table.
Like I
No,
didn't see any live streams about like, you know what I'm saying, women actually trying to do that. They were actually trying to get the bag, you know what I'm saying?
women seen all that time that they had on their hands. They seen how thirsty these dudes were. These dudes was going through withdrawal from not being able to go to these clubs. They couldn't really go to the grocery store like that. A lot of these people were just entrapped in a place. They realized the world didn't need them, and they wanted to go to these women, and they paid for any shape, form, or fashion that it took to actually deal with them. Yeah, a lot of these dudes, like a lot of these dudes, was not with their girlfriend the entire time in the situation, man. All these people, all this bullshit about tricking, man. Like a lot of these dudes are doing that. Child
Yeah.
support dudes are the biggest tricks in America, but they try to spend all the time trying to make sure that because they went through their situation, that ain't nobody else ain't nothing, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm you will let Al go ahead and talk, right? And he was talking about what he was talking about. He was talking about like running this experiment again and him knowing that this is he knowing it's not gonna work, but still allowing or promoting it to people. I think I have a real like big problem with that because I wouldn't really. Like for you to say that, like it's really troubling, man. It's real troubling for you to send somebody into like to a burning building, you knowing
Yes.
it's not gonna work, but continue to play on these people's emotions. And I think with this
Yes.
one day, man, I was on Q Butter platform, and I think Complex went on there one day too, and it was this one dude, and like the talking points that we have here, man, and a lot of these people are actually really radicalized in a way,
They
and like
are.
I
They
can
are
actually see
radicalized.
it. I'm like,
No.
damn, like I
Yeah.
can see why you said that shit. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Because all right. It's like no matter what the question is, management talking points are the answer. That's what I mean by the radicalization piece. Like not listening to the question, don't give a fuck about what's going on, but try to muscle the conversation into the actual information that they recently got by having practice. That's just crazy and stupid ass shit about that.
Yeah, man,
Yeah, but what's going
crazy.
on, Al? Show what's going on, man. Al, show you there?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, how are you doing? How's everybody?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah,
What's
what's going on?
going on?
Yeah. So, while I'm not expert in all the machinations in that particular sphere, um, I tend to, some of what you had said earlier that I caught. I look at things from a YouTube perspective. Like I have something on my channel called the YouTube Show, where I look into various aspects of YouTube, being on
Something you
YouTube in
disagree
any
with?
capacity.
Something you
No,
disagree
no,
with that I
no.
said, or you think it's
Um,
off base?
No. I was just listening to a couple of things that you said
Oh, okay.
about,
All right.
like, for example, you were mentioning that people will bring in people with PhDs or other kind of credentials because they don't have credentials and so forth. So
Correct. Correct.
I'm taking this from a YouTube perspective, just YouTube. So what you say about, I guess, the individuals and their talking points doesn't surprise me. Sorry.
Yeah, but you have to understand that these individuals are not used to debate. They don't know what debate is. They think trolling and actually roasting is debate. It's not debate. Like you devolve into that type of bullshit because you don't want to be on topic and you're clearly out of shit to say. And so you have to devolve the conversation in other types of shit because you can't keep up with the conversation
Right.
itself. Yeah, that's what it is. It's not that
That's one of
difficult.
the
It's just that
reasons. Well, that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things. That's a very good point. But it's indicative of. See, I'm looking at this from the wider YouTube perspective, right? And so what you just stated is something that's part of the wider YouTube perspective. It may be specific to that part of YouTube, but it's also what you will find in other parts of YouTube. And what people don't understand on YouTube is what they use is they use, as you mentioned, roasting instead of talking. They use argument
okay.
instead
Well,
of
I
debate.
need to address something in the actual chat. Marty W, man.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on a second. Let's bring Marty W up here because I think that's a good point, and I want to bring this individual on, and I'm gonna show you what happens whenever you have these people who have these one-shot comments, but they can't actually debate their actual point. So, all right, Marty W, the link is dropped. Don't tell me that you ain't got shit else to do. Bring your motherfucking ass up here, and why don't you come out here and really explain your actual point? Because I can guarantee you that every time you try to critique fuck niggas, there's always a nigga who try to make you, well, we're pointing out fuck shit ain't doing anything. Man, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Come up here and actually explain the actual point of view. It's cool, man. Just come up here. And I caught your motherfucking comment yesterday about everybody don't own a fleet of trucks in YouTube. Nigga, I know you was talking about me, nigga. And guess what? As soon as I fucking came up out of that fucking chat, you didn't say a motherfucking word after that. You disappeared for the rest of the motherfucking live stream, nigga. So why don't you bring your motherfucking ass up here? No roasting, no nothing. I want to address this question that's on the stream exclusively. Or else you're just another cowardly ass fucking black man who shouldn't be nowhere near my motherfucking channel.
Yeah, I think that kind
Okay,
of
you don't
pains.
fucking want to. All right, man. Well, you can have a really nice fucking rest of your goddamn day.
Well,
Well,
it's
out
a
of here.
response. Again, it's another facet of YouTube, right? It's a reaction to any criticism. by stating, in this case, oh, you're critiquing
Wait, hold on a second.
a
Hold
part
on a
of
second.
YouTube.
Okay, Marty W. I blocked you because you didn't bring your ass up. You see, men can actually talk about their actual issues and take it to fruition. Bitch ass niggas just want to make one-off fucking comments and don't want to have any type of substance behind the shit. So you can become unblocked whenever the fuck you want to. My actual email is in the about section. When you specifically want to bring your motherfucking ass up here and explain your actual fucking comment, you'll become unblocked. Okay? I want to let you know that that is the reason why your ass is blocked. All right? Because when I gave your ass a chance to come up, you didn't want to come up. And yes, criticizing these motherfuckers is a problem. I wasn't raised around a bunch of bitch ass niggas. Yes, men actually point out problems so that way things can change. Pointing out the problem is part of the goddamn solution. And taking action once you point out the problem is the actual solution too. Not my fault you want to be around a bunch of bitch ass niggas. That's your fault. That's your feeling as a man. Ain't got shit to do with me. All right, man, go ahead, back to the issue.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So I think we had one aspect of what we see on YouTube just now with this guy, right? So that's one aspect in YouTube, right? When you point out the fallacies that you find on YouTube, this is actually sooner than I expected, but when you point out the fallacies that you find on YouTube, the problems that you find on YouTube, with the way people use YouTube tactics, you get something like this, right? Oh, critiquing a part of YouTube is not doing anything. It's just high-level rambling online. Well, a lot of what people do on YouTube is rambling online. So if that's the criticism, then it's not much of one.
No,
I mean,
because it doesn't require any historical context behind what you're saying.
Right.
You just come out here like,
Right.
yeah, you say something about a guy I don't like. You need to be quiet. Okay, how do things change? Well, you just need to be quiet. Okay, how do things change? But just stop talking. I don't like it.
Right.
It makes me feel uncomfortable. The people you talk about, they fuck with. That's all it is. That's all it is. But guess what happens when you entrap yourself just around these type of people? And I just come in and I just lay that fire on your motherfucking ass. Yeah, it breaks up your whole psychological fucking makeup because you're not used to actually explaining yourself to people. You're just used to making bullshit comments and keeping the silence whenever whole shit and fuck shit go on, which is what most of these people have been socialized into, to be quite honest with you.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
That's what YouTube provides. It provides a kind of a medium where people feel free to say whatever they want, and probably things they would never say outside of YouTube. But one reaction to that is just as we saw now, it's a reflexive reaction to any criticism. You're wrong for saying we're wrong, or there's what's going on isn't right, or what's going on isn't effective or working or whatever. That's a reflexive
the same
criticism.
person goes online and complain about the same bitches that he ain't got no access to, which I didn't try to take him away from actually saying on that actual live stream. Everything that he said was right. I could have told him that everything that he said on Keep It 100's panel was actually high-level rambling. I didn't fucking say that. Everything that he said was 100% fucking true. The thing is that these people don't know how to debate. They don't know how to problem solve.
Right.
Because the environments that they entrap themselves in is about complaint based only, and you're either on my team or you're on their team. I'm like, no, there's complaints and then there's action and then there's resolutions and then there's comparison.
Right. Well, again, what you're describing is all part of what can occur in spaces on YouTube and also on channels, right? It's complaint based. It's not even argument based. Right? Because arguments are part of debate. When you actually debate, arguments are part of debate, as is a position. So when you have formal debate, as I learned in college, you take a position, affirmative or negative, and you thus use your case. Your case consists of various arguments. And of course, there's a resolution, right? So you're debating a resolution, a specific piece of verbiage, a phrase that encapsulates the subject or issue that you will be talking about. So
Correct.
how can you
That's
have
why during debate,
even debate? Yeah. So how can you have even how would I put it? Informal, not even real debate, but even anything that's bastardized, that's not even close to it, when you don't even have a foundation, a resolution, or some foundation or issue to discuss in a simplistic way, or at least limited so that people understand what they're talking about. And B, you don't have a case or argument to make. What you have are points that you make, these pre-digested, pre-planned, um, pre, thought out talking
yeah,
points, even if they're
yeah, man,
spontaneous talking points. Go ahead.
prepackaged goods, man. That's what it is. No matter no matter what you order, you're gonna get this prepackaged level of bullshit. That's the goddamn solution. Because these
There
people,
you go.
they don't understand how to debate. Because most of these
Oh
people,
yeah.
they come on, they want to say one thing, they want to be right on the thing that they say. They're like, look, no, you have to be able to explain your point. And you spend most of the quote unquote debate trying to show people how to debate and how their actual point of view is correct. But see, most people lack the actual level of maturity to just say, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and ask a specific question. Rather than do that, they'll just
Mhm.
come out with a flat out, abundantly wrong, uh, unresearched opinion and just say, that's my point of view. Now you have to leverage both sides of the conversation. You have to
Mhm.
not only give your side of the argument, but you have to give their side of the argument, and you have to help them structure their side of the argument. And now you're doing all this work, and the person just walks away from the conversation. It's kind of like
Mhm.
playing chess with fucking pigeons. You just set all the pieces up, and the pigeon just walked across, shit all over the board, and just flew off. Like, what the fuck did I just set all this up for?
So
That's kind of
I'll
where we're at.
call that since it's not real debate. What goes on in YouTube often is what I would call faux or pseudo debate. What people think is debating in some way, shape, or form, but really isn't, right? So what you just noted is a couple of facets of that. One, people are expressing a point of view that is untethered, uh, forgive the pun, to any kind of relevant um, factual basis or foundation or data foundation or anything like that. It's their
Yeah.
whole point of it, not just their point of view. That's one thing, but it's their opinion, their just what they think, and it's not even necessarily a closely held opinion that they just have that's based on some fact or data or something tethered in reality. It's just their point of view based on supposition, based on interpretation, and based on just their own personal views, and it's not linked to anything substantial. So
Yeah, but it's a
when they come,
presuppositional. It's
yeah, go
it's
ahead.
it's a presuppositional argument. No, regardless of what you have stated, it's an
Mhm.
unresearched presuppositional argument where it's your job to come in and correct them on the facts, set up the actual argument the way it needs to be set up, and then they'll just say, "Well, oh, I just disagree," and then a person will take everything that you just told them or taught them
Mhm.
and use it somewhere else as if it's their opinion. And these people live their
That's
whole fucking lives like this.
right. That's right. You're right. And again, that's one aspect. That's why on another panel I had pointed out I made the point is people use debate on YouTube as a means to show, like you mentioned before, the people who bring on experts or individuals with degrees or credentials because they don't have credentials. People will use debate or try to use it because they themselves don't really have anything else going on in their lives. They've got modest jobs, probably very little education, probably not much of a social life or anything else. And what being on YouTube allows them to be is, and this is another point, is some other version. One of the things that I mentioned on the YouTube show on my channel is the 3 C's that power YouTube or people feel power YouTube: conflict, controversy, and character. And what people try to do is be some character. They try or be something other than they are. And so on YouTube, they will go and try to debate. They'll use debate as a way to show that they are fundamentally intellectual, that they are bright, they're smart. Oh, I don't have a degree. I didn't go to college. I didn't study. In fact, these are people that maybe barely made it through high school, if they made it through high school. But they want to show they're smarter than people with degrees. They're smarter than PhDs. They're smarter than experts, or they're as smart as anybody else who also has a real job or a profession or a career. And that's what happens on you. And so that's a facet of YouTube, and an aspect of that. So people try to be some character, or sometimes a real character that they've invented, but also just a character in terms of being something they are not outside of YouTube.
Correct. So what they do is just like, look, I'm economically dependent on bullshitting everybody here. Therefore, don't challenge me on anything, but I'm gonna challenge you on everything. And it's like, the fuck? It's like, bro, listen, man. Some of this shit you can actually research, and it's like they're so invested in this character not being challenged, and they want to be right on everything, that it requires
very good point.
leveraging the fact that you're not supposed to say anything about the bullshit that they're trying to pull off in front of your face, because they have an economic kind of motive behind what they're actually doing. Like they're not even really invested in the conversation like that, right? I mean, like, I could take this shit really fucking deep, and that's why I love, okay, here's another phrase that you hear within this space. Oh, you think you're smarter than everybody else. No, I'm just more researched on topics than you are. And I know both sides of the actual argument, and I know whether you're arguing from a disingenuous point or not, based on what it is. And people be like, why do you know all this information? I can't be able to talk from a point of ignorance, and that's your fault. I'm like, the fuck? I actually researched the issue so that way I can stop these conversations from being had. To them, they don't inform themselves about these situations so that way conversation can be had. So we have two different levels of what we're actually doing here, and then they try to put it behind some level of, oh, I have the freedom to do whatever I want. Then why come to a space that has specific rules if you want to do whatever you want? You can just stay quiet.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with like having an echo chamber, because like once you get out of that echo chamber, it's kind of like people
Dude,
are
you are
actually gonna
lost.
start questioning you type shit. You know what I'm
You are
saying?
lost. Shit,
And
you come from that BGS panel on that fucking bullshit and you go somewhere else, bro, you're not gonna be able to survive no motherfucking criticism outside of that shit.
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, you get fucking toasted, roasted, and thrown off the fucking panel. And this is what happens in real life. Let's say you go to the city council meeting. You have 2 minutes to fucking talk. You're over your 2 minutes and you still trying to make your basic fucking point. Hey man, time's up. You should have had this shit prepared and researched before you came here. Now they're mad at the process because the process didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do when they had the chance. I'm like, but there's specific rules here. But they don't want to follow the specific rules. They want everybody else to actually let them do whatever the fuck they want to do. But they would never do that on anybody else's stead. And that's what's so crazy about it. It's a maturity issue. And these people walk around, people call them fathers, and they like do a lot of shit.
yeah. So like, do you see that as like, cause like with VGS and like the Pearly thing, do you see that him pushing for Pearly thing to actually move his political movement? Do you see that because he feel like he can't do it himself?
No, he just outsourced it to her, and that's just it. They outsource it to somebody else, and then they just go on to something else. It wasn't that she was supposed to do anything with it. He was just supposed to get the heat off of him, place it on somebody else, and move on to another topic. It wasn't that she was supposed to do anything. Because if that was the case, he would be able to actually accurately explain what it is she actually doing. Like, that's the kind of the dodge of like wanting to talk about geopolitics as a way of criticizing what's going on within the environment, but not participating within the environment to change what's going on within the environment. It's still dodging the innate responsibility of the place where you actually stay at to focus on shit in a place where you don't actually control shit at. And this is what goes on over and over and over again. a lot of people just regurgitate these talking points and they think they're informed. I'm like, nah, man, you're just being radicalized and you're mad that the whole world don't respect you for the quote unquote shit that you think that you know, rather than the things that you could demonstrate that you actually know. And that's the actual problem here. A lot of these people don't know how to debate or have a conversation or even know how to act in front of other men. So
Mhm.
they act the same way that they would act around these hoes in front of other men and think that's just cool. It's like, dude, at some fucking point in time, man, bro, you got to grow the fuck up. And I was like, oh, man, you can't take a joke. I'm like, nigga, everything ain't about jokes, bro. Sometimes,
Yeah.
man, look, I'm a
Yeah.
professional. I'm at fucking work. The time I spend here is important to me. To them, their time don't mean shit to them, but they want you to actually act in a level of levity that allow them to make all these bullshit, crazy ass fucking points and get all this shit off.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I
think.
discovered when I first came on YouTube. In a particular, I wound up in a space because I was dealing with people. I won't go into the name of the space or anything like that, but that's when I first discovered how some spaces or degree of how some people act on YouTube. There's a good deal of arrested development with individuals. I mean, it's the behavior is that I've seen is some of these individuals act as if they're still in, I would say, high
High
school,
school.
maybe even middle
Yes.
school. Yeah,
Yes.
but I would say at least high school. It's this notion of, again, not having not talking, but roasting, not
Oh, God.
engaging, but fighting. They believe that, and I, like I said, I saw this at least one space where fundamentally the people there can't stand each other, don't like each other, but still want to hang out with each other, just be around each other. And that is because they beat each other up. They attack each other, they expose each other, they go and say all kinds of things, and then they want to go and make up afterwards. They want to, oh, well, why don't you go and try to smooth things over? Why don't you try to fix things? Well, that is psychologically a, I would say, an abnormal and abhorrent cycle. It doesn't work. I mean, again, I think people think they can do this because it's YouTube, because it's online. And somehow, I mean, I've had people say, oh, well, you know, YouTube, you need to keep it on YouTube. YouTube isn't real. Huh? YouTube isn't real? You have an avatar on whatever device you're speaking through. And that's not real? I mean, you know, I know there's a surreal quality to YouTube. But if you're on a panel, as I am on right now, and if I'm speaking through a device, that's real. It's just another form of reality. Yeah, you know, I distinguish YouTube by saying, and the real so-called real world by saying the carbon-based world as opposed to the digital world, but they're all reality. So if you go on YouTube and you behave like a fool, act like a crazy person, then that isn't going to bode very well for you because people can use that against you. They can go and say, look, this person appeared on YouTube. Look at what he said. That can have real world consequences. So it's fast. I mean, to me, I find this fascinating because I didn't grow up with this. I didn't
And,
grow up
and,
with
and it's like you
the
have people
internet.
in their 30s,
Yeah,
40s, and 50s who fucking act like this. Like this is
yeah,
their interface with
precisely.
the with the world.
Well,
Like
in their 40s and
outside of,
50s, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's like they don't understand how easy participation is. But they've taken like the rather than flying from California to New York, they decided to fly around the globe backwards to get to fucking New York. Like, you know, they want to take that 40-hour spin around the globe to get to New York. Where you could just fly over the flower states to get to New York. And I'm like, participation in a minimum level of education is what people actually dodge because it holds them to some type of standard. But they don't want to be held to no type of standard here. They want to be held to the type of standard to where I can do whatever I want to, and you have to put up with it.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. And I think the problem is like you have a lot of people here that feel like people can't like black men can't work together. And I gotta disagree with that because it's a lot of people here that I talk to that I got a lot of information from about like careers and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And this is the great space for that. It can be, but like you have people here that's not actually bringing value to this space. I think you were doing
They
an
want to shut
interview
it
with
down.
yeah,
They
you
want
were
to shut it
doing an
down.
interview with Sister George, and there's one dude we unlocked. Yeah, he's kind of like a community minded type of dude. Bring the woman back to the table, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Hey
he
man, look,
don't
you have
even
to
bring
treat those
value
people.
on his own channel, and
Thing is, man, you have to treat those people like domestic terrorists. You have to treat
yeah,
those people like the saboteurs that they are. I'm sorry. You're on this bringing people back to the table shit. You better have your motherfucking shit together, finance wise. And I want to see where you actually brought the money
Saboteur
from.
is a perfect term.
Yeah,
Perfect
saboteur. That's
term
what it
is
is.
saboteur. Yeah,
It's a very specific
perfect
definition.
term.
It cannot be actually confused with other things. That's what it is. Like the people who came into the manosphere to leverage the unhappiness of the relationship conversation are fucking saboteurs by definition. Very specific definition. When the only thing you have to do is get your shit together and be indifferent. Like what Ramil says, is get your shit together, be indifferent. Like me, I don't care if it works out or not. I don't want to fucking believe it, and I'm not fucking trying. Okay, I already got my answer and solution. Best
hold on.
solution, best
What did
practices.
BGS say about indifference? He said, I forgot.
Indifference was picking the right woman. He's partially right, but that's actual a shorthand version of indifference. But the longhand version of indifference is not caring, like Ramil's actual definition, which I knew he was reading off of Google because I googled the fucking definition. I'm like, am I high? Do I not know what fucking indifference is? But they were kind of saying the same thing, but BGS was trying to just be deliberately contrary for reasons why it didn't need to be and tried to loop it to make it look like they believe the same thing when actually indifference means what indifference means.
That's another aspect in YouTube with hosts and even individuals on panels is this deliberate and practiced contrarian stance and execution. You have individuals that always will disagree with not just people on panels, but anyone else, because they feel that it's what I call the talk show formula, like the radio talk show formula. And this is what I've also noted elsewhere. I believe that part of what drives YouTube is with a lot of channels, no matter what they're into, could be Manosphere, could be anything else, is what I call the talk radio formula, which is,
Yeah.
you have to make sure at least every 15 minutes that you're getting people interested in what you're talking about. No matter what you say, no matter what you got to say something, you've got to get people not to touch that dial and or turn off that radio. You got to get them to keep listening to you. So what happens is that talk show radio formula has came to YouTube years ago, and it's one of the things that powers YouTube, because people will say, "Oh, when you're on a panel, they're talking, it's boring, there's no entertainment," or they'll write off what they say as it's entertainment. I'm like, how is a panel discussion, which is what a panel is really about, how is that entertainment? How is a conversation entertainment? Yes, it can be amusing, it can be funny, it can be interesting, but it's not really entertainment.
But they
There's
spend the
plenty of
majority of their
entertainment on
life
YouTube.
though.
Right.
But
Go ahead.
but you have to realize that they only spend the majority of their life around entertainment things, so that way nothing is serious.
Right.
So that's why they need stripper poles and bells and whistles and
Mhm.
clowns and shit whenever discussing realistic issues, because they still want one hand on this shit is not as serious as it is. It's their way of actually controlling the actual intake
Right.
of information by making it so
Right.
that way it cannot be serious, even if it is
Right.
serious. So that way they can kind of
Right.
dismiss the premise of what's going on and the actions that need to be taken to prevent what's actually happening here. Because right now the manosphere has made things worse for men overall. I think the red pill has made things worse for men overall. I think the red pill have given more power to women than men. I think that the red pill and the manosphere itself have given women more options than they know what to do with. I think the red pill and the manosphere has actually socialized
Right.
women to a previous level of result that they never wouldn't have got anywhere else. They never would have got this information anywhere else but the manosphere. And that's why they're quote unquote are here in large numbers to figure out what's the advanced way that they can continue to keep surviving within the environment. That's the thing about women that's better than men. They're going to learn what it takes to survive within an actual environment. They're going to learn that shit. Okay? Men, for the most part, don't really care. They take one thing, they want to do this one thing, one way, and hope everybody comes along for the ride. No, 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 no. Most women actually go out there and want to figure out the means of survival, even if it's just as simple as just getting pregnant by somebody. They've already figured out the actual well researched, they have homegirls to go to and everything else. Men, we're trying to grift and trying to throw people into bullshit that don't even need to be done. That's why it's so hard to even trust men. Like a lot of these people, like me, I know what those to trust and what not to trust. Let's say that you don't even have that type of background where you grew up around men and you constantly surrounded by all these fucking predators. Now you look at every potential person that you come across as a potential fucking enemy that make you not want to work with people. And then you don't build the connections, you can't really do shit properly, and now you're all alone. And it's like, damn, this dude was in this situation because he was simply born to the wrong family around these type of people. And then they go back around those people expecting the type of things that we're doing here. And then that don't work, and then they go back around those people. But they're socialized so much as going through that cycle around those people, they feel new, naked, and just exposed in this type of environment here because we don't allow people to just act the way they fucking want to act.
Mhm.
You gotta come out here with your
Yeah.
actual intentions up front and well researched. If not, you gotta get the fuck off the panel, bro. But to them, their freedom, their idea of freedom is my idea of freedom is I'm gonna be uninformed as shit. I'm gonna throw out these unvarnished fucking opinions, and I'm gonna be Corey Holcomb, Patrice O'Neal, or Cat Williams
Mhm.
online, and that's just gonna be the fucking
Oh,
it.
jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. So it's yeah, what you're describing seems to be like a anti-intellectual anarchism at work with these. That's what I would call it, anti-intellectual anarchism, which is that they privileged their opinions and their point of view above all else, and they seek freedom in all of that in their point of view. And so I think what's interesting to me is, again, and the sad thing is this, that although I'm biracial, I have been in some, I would say, Black panels. And in some spaces, it's easy to have a conversation about certain things. But in other spaces, it's not. And I think it's because of the points that we were mentioning before. There are people who want to be at loggerheads with each other. They want to fight each other. They see having a conversation, having a discussion that doesn't break out into an argument or a fight or series of attacks as not just not entertaining, but unproductive. At the end of the day, when you look at some of these spaces, or a lot of spaces on YouTube, but at least some of them, their idea, being destructive, is productive to them. Being productive is not productive. Being destructive is being productive. And that's the problem. And so that's where, especially when it comes to people's channels, I think if people want to be, like you just mentioned, you made a good point. Like I noticed with the guy that made the criticism, he got blocked. Now, I personally have banned people from my channel because I've noted I have 3 specific rules in regards to my channel. And I've heard a couple people elsewhere say, "Oh, he's too strict," or "He's too that." No, I'm not going to allow you to bring disorder and negative, not just negativity per se, but disorder and disruption and disrespect to my channel. If you go and say that in the chat, you're going to get timed out. You're going to get blocked. And so people are so used to a certain form of anything goes attitude, a laissez-faire. I call it the YouTube laissez-faire. They want to come on a panel and they think they have the right to disrespect you. They have the right to call you every name in the book. They have the right to attack you. If you were to do that outside of YouTube, somebody's going to take a camera and possibly record you. That might very well happen.
That's not going to happen, man. You know, like most of this YouTube trolling shit, you do it one time, man. When people gonna stomp your ass out like Kane from Menace Society, man. It ain't even gonna go over but one time. It ain't even like that. But they leverage the fact that that's never going to happen, or that it's less likely to happen, as their reason to continue to keep being on that bullshit. And this is why you keep it on the substance piece, because a lot of people can't argue from substance. They're so used to being around that dramacidal trolling bullshit that they don't know how to act in society. Everything has to not be serious so that way they can participate.
Right.
And rather than just asking their questions like a rational human adult, they have to do it in this kind of like format, a learned format to where it just don't work. And it's like, bro, ain't nobody got time for this childish bullshit. That's just the way it is, man. And at the end of the day, this is how they always have operated. Like, they assume it's not possible because they haven't got clocked yet. So they think like, well, you cutting down on my freedom to be me. And it's like, the fuck? It's like, nah, man. Like, bro, just get them out of here. No, you tell them what's going on. You explain why what's going on. Because, you know, people make criticisms and comments, and you might, look, it's time for you to explain yourself. Oh, I ain't got the time. All right, man, well, I got the time to not fucking look at you. Bye. This is in the inbound section. This is my email. If you want to fucking come back, come back. If not, bid you adieu. Have a really nice fucking day. That's all. I'm here to solve problems. That's what men here do. Solve problems. Not move the conversation to other places. No, just solve the problem that's at hand. So that way we can be able to move on. Meanwhile, while doing this, I'm in the shop fucking around with this goddamn transmission. So I'm always doing something. I'm not just on YouTube, just being on YouTube, man. I'm actually doing other shit too. Because I've mastered the art of being able to do two things at the same time. Most of those live streams I did while driving. You know what I'm saying? Like all night live streams. Yeah, I did it while driving. I wasn't sitting in no fucking dungeon and shit. You know, on camera looking stupid and have all these weird things going on, screaming in the corner and shit. I wasn't doing that. I'm still being productive while doing this. It's not even that difficult.
Yeah, with the number of people, it's problem instead of problem, reaction, solution. It's problem, reaction, and then more problems. They don't want
problem, reaction, talk. Problem, reaction, talk.
Yeah,
problem, reaction,
that's
talk.
another one.
Nothing gets solved. Same problem stays there for years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's what I found when I go. It's really odd because sometimes you go on a panel and people want to argue with you and you really they don't really get that I'm not here to have a argument with you. I'm here to make a point really to the audience. It's just that I'm talking to whoever's there on the panel, but it's really intended for the audience. And so that's the point. So the way that I handle YouTube personally is I go on a panel to make a point or a couple of points. And I find that when you do that, I found that's the best approach. That's the best approach. Because one, it gives you something to do. Like I see people go on panels and you go, hey, and the host asks them, so what do you want to, what is your view? Oh, I don't have anything to say. I'm just hanging back and I just want to hang out. And I'm like, I don't really care normally, but I'm going, why would you go on a panel and not say anything? I can see not saying anything for a while, but you're going on a panel and you're going, no, I just want to hang out. You can hang out in the chat. Why are you up there? Do you want to be, so you want to be seen and not heard,
Yep.
right?
They want to be
You have
successful
to,
but not participate. Yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
there you go. That's it.
Don't want to
Uh,
add value.
I'm like, from a logical perspective, I'm going, why? I've never understood that. I've never understood. I'm like, yeah, you want to go on a panel and say nothing and do nothing. And then when somebody
Of
asks you a
value.
question, you're
Of
like,
value. Of value.
yeah, right. And when someone
Of
asks you a
value of
question, it's like,
substance.
well, well, I don't really have much to say about that. Or, yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty much the case. Or something along that line. It's like, why are you even there? You could have done that in the chat. You could have done that in the clouds. Of course, you wouldn't be talking to anybody in the clouds, but that's the point. It's like, I'm at a, I really believe, I don't know what kind of videos there are about how to be on YouTube and all that. I know there are. Somebody needs to come up with a video about how to behave on YouTube, if they haven't already. Like etiquette and protocol 101, YouTube 101. Honestly, because of what I've seen on YouTube, I go, they're like you have, what is that? Like there are actual schools that will teach people etiquette and protocol when they go to formal dining establishments or formal events. You have those kinds of, women at finishing schools, and there are other kinds of, I forget what they're called, but there needs to be something like a video or something tailored to how to be on YouTube, because people really don't seem to understand that, like anything, there has to be a way to conduct yourself on this platform, on this medium, and they just don't get it. It's like they just think, oh, I can come in, it's like coming into somebody's home, putting your feet on the table, spitting on the floor, using all kinds of, screaming and yelling at the top of your lungs. It's everything that you wouldn't be able to do elsewhere. That's what they think that is. And all you're doing is making yourself look bad because people are watching. They're watching, they're seeing you, and they're sizing you up. And these same people are going, well, how come they view me this way? How come I'm being judged this way? Though you're being judged this way because this is the way you talk. This is the way you carry yourself. This is the way you behave. You want to be treated with respect, and yet you disrespect everyone around you? I don't think so. You want to be seen as a nice person when you're nothing but nasty to other people when you get on platforms or even on your own platform? I don't think so. At the end of the day, dogs don't become cats, right?
Yeah, but
Dogs
these
don't
cats
become
want to become dogs, but that's what they
right.
want it.
Yeah. They want to be.
Yeah.
They want to be a pit bull. One of the pit bulls want to turn into kittens, and that can't happen. Not on YouTube. I'm just being honest. Not on YouTube. At the end of the day, people can see you and they're aware of you, and they're going to size you up for what you are. Thus, that's why the way you talk, the way you behave, the way you carry yourself is very important. It's always odd to me that people some of them act the opposite of what they are outside of YouTube. I've actually heard that about some content creators. Like
Yeah.
people have met them and they're totally different. And it's like, yeah, because they're playing a character or they're trying to incite conflict or controversy. It's strange. I mean, that's the strange world of YouTube. And I say this to people because I'm like, I don't know. Is there a YouTube 101? I don't know. Because I honestly, at this point, think there needs to be
Then
something.
again, I mean,
People need to
you're
understand
teaching
that.
people things that should have been taught like 20, 30 years before they even came to YouTube. and there ain't no class for that because even though we have millions of views, it wouldn't have any comments because you look stupid as shit even putting out something like that. Yeah. So hey, I gotta be able to get up out of here because I gotta roll on and do some other things. I got this. I
Yeah,
think I got this transmission figured out here.
yeah, I
But
figured.
yeah, yeah, man. Like when I got time, I'm doing double duty. I'm talking as if I'm on the phone, and I'm working
Right,
the hell out of putting this thing in in where it needs to go, man. So
right.
you got any last words, Spawn?
Oh no, man. Continue doing what you're doing, man. Keep spreading the message and shit, man. Get the you know what I'm saying, drifters up out of here, man, you know?
All right, cool. And the last words, Al show.
I would say if there's anybody, Google, YouTube, whatever, listening, you guys need some kind of basic YouTube 101. At this point, you need it because people, there's got to be some way for people to understand how to carry themselves here on YouTube. I honestly
Nah, I
believe
don't
that
think
at
so.
some point.
I disagree. I want them to carry themselves the way they carry
Okay.
themselves. I want them to do exactly what they're doing. I don't want to create social chameleons. I want to know exactly what people are. I don't want them acting differently and moving on to other environments that they ain't supposed to be in, bringing up bullshit with them. I disagree.
Oh, yeah, I
Don't
see
teach
your
these people.
point. No,
Yeah,
I see your point. I see your point.
yeah.
But
Don't teach these
I
people how to
still
do a
stop that.
motherfucking
All
thing.
right, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, man. All right, so
All right,
all right, all right,
take
later.
it easy.
All right, man. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Thank everybody for being here for the 2+ hours. And normally not all this long, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to make progressive style content, and you can't use that. Well, these people are behind, and I want to take their money. And like, dude, we got to grow up and stop using this get the bag logic bullshit. Sometimes shit is just bullshit, and if you don't you need to just be doing it. That's all it is. So again, people fried their credibility. I'm not sure why they even here because they didn't come here to bring value. They came here to destroy progress, which they actually did for the most part. So shout out to them. So I want to thank everybody for coming through on the man tomorrow. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. That's a real nice rest of your day.